When we as artists and creatives allow imposter syndrome to hold us back, we're literally allowing our minds and the lies we tell ourselves to hold us back as well. Welcome to the Sing Confidently, Live Creatively podcast, a show to help you build confidence as you start singing, acting, dancing, and being creative again. Hi, I'm Estelle. I'm a singer, actor, performer, and a beginner voice coach who knows how it feels to want to use your God-given creative gifts, but you stay stuck in fear and doubt. The solution is to start building confidence. You have gifts that you need to grow and use and share, and the world is waiting for you. I want to be there with you to help you do that. It's time to live creatively. So without further ado, let's begin. Hey, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so grateful that you are here investing time and energy into yourself and using your creative gifts with confidence, especially in singing and performing as well. So today I wanted to get into a super common issue, concern, question that I run into. And recently someone commented on my TikTok. I'm at Estelle Averi _ in case you're curious. But someone commented on my TikTok about the number one thing that they are wanting to, I guess, work on in this year. And they said imposter syndrome is a struggle. Is imposter syndrome a struggle for you too? Like, are you a creative person, an artist, a performing artist? You are someone in your 20s, 30s, you're an adult, right? You grew up performing, you grew up doing theater, you grew up in the arts. Now you're an adult, right? And you want to be singing, you want to be performing, you want to do this. Whether it's as a career or as an intentional creative outlet or hobby, you are intentional about this. But there is just something that is holding you back, and it's that feeling that you're just not good enough, you just aren't there yet, and therefore you can't start. So we're getting into what are the lies that imposter syndrome is telling us so we can absolutely combat them, because if we have a creative gift, if we have something that is in us that we need to get out there, then we can't let something like imposter syndrome hold us back. Okay, this is a midweek episode, right? So it's going to be a little bit shorter, but just stay with me and let's knock these lies out so we can move on, okay? So first of all, what is imposter syndrome? A lot of times we hear this, but according to Psychology Today, people who struggle with imposter syndrome believe that they are undeserving of their achievements and the high esteem in which they are, in fact, generally held. They feel that they aren't as competent or intelligent as others might think, and that soon enough, people will discover the truth about them, end quote. Okay, so yes, hold that in mind. Keep that in mind, that when you are struggling with imposter syndrome, you think that you aren't competent or intelligent as others might think that you are, right? Especially at something maybe you reached an achievement, you reached a goal, right? And you don't feel like you deserve it, right? Maybe you get into a show. I've talked about this on my show before, like a while ago when I did my first professional contract in like a local theater company. It was a Shakespeare show, and I talked about imposter syndrome and feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm like not as good as these other people. I didn't know everyone at that point in time. Now I love them all, but I just didn't know everyone. And I had like imposter syndrome on the first day of rehearsals, and I had an episode talking about that, reflecting on that. So I want to, first of all, clear the air and let you know that I felt the same thing, okay? I decided to become a professional performer end of 2021. Now it's 2024. So it's been a couple years. And even before that, I'd been singing, I'd been performing, I'd been intentional about growing as a performer, as an artist, but not on the same level as I am now, of course, right? So I understand what it's like to feel like, oh my goodness, I really want to be performing. I want to be auditioning. I want to sing. I want to be sharing my voice, online, sharing covers and singing in my church choir and like doing all these things, but I just don't feel like I'm good enough. And that feeling that other people think that you are a certain level, and they're going to eventually realize that you aren't as good as they think that you are. We are going to combat that when I break down what imposter syndrome tells us as creative people. The lies that imposter syndrome tells us, we're gonna kind of connect that back to this whole definition of what imposter syndrome looks like for us as people. Okay, so the number one lie that imposter syndrome tells us is that you have to be perfect right away. Okay, and all these lies you can see like in this definition of imposter syndrome by Psychology Today, again, which is that like when you have imposter syndrome, you feel like you aren't as competent or intelligent as others might think, and soon enough they're going to discover the truth about you, right? So the number one lie imposter syndrome says is that you have to be perfect right away. Why is this a lie? Well, because you are as a person, as a human being, you're not perfect, first of all. And second of all, you as a creative, whatever your craft is, specifically as a singer, as a performer, a dancer, an actor, all three, most of you, right, are aspiring to be all three. You need to realize that we all are beginners at some point, and we should all approach our craft, our art, with a bit of a beginner's mind anyway, because you have to start somewhere, and there's always more to learn, always more to grow in. So just nick that lie out, like just toss that lie out, because know that you are always, there's always room for you to grow. You're always going to be growing anyway. So you don't need to be perfect right away. You just need to be growing right away. You need to be developing right away. You need to be doing something that is allowing your skills, your craft, your art to grow right away. You need to be taking steps to grow. I always talk on this show about small steps of action, right? Why do I say that again and again and again? Because it's the only way that we grow is if we take small steps of action over time, right? That's the only way we can really grow and develop. So when you hear that lie in your heart and your mind about, oh, I have to be perfect, otherwise, like, you know, people are just like not going to think that I'm good enough, like, because I'm not perfect at this yet. Well, you're not perfect anyway as a human being. So there's that. We need the grace of God through Jesus Christ. That is another discussion for another day. But you guys know I talk about my faith all the time. And that is in my heart of hearts, what I know is that I'm not perfect. I need the grace of God through Jesus Christ, right? That is my strength. That is my hope. But period, when it comes to being an artist, you need to realize that you need to take small steps of action to grow. So the way to combat that lie of, oh, I have to be perfect right away, is you need to remind yourself, no, I don't need to be perfect. I need to be growing. Okay. That's going to relate to the second lie that imposter syndrome tells us, which is that you aren't doing enough to be considered professional or a real artist. You're not doing enough. Okay. So that's fine. But are you doing something? So if you really aren't doing enough, if you really aren't singing, then yeah, like you're gonna feel like an imposter if you're calling yourself a singer, if you don't actually sing on a regular basis, or you don't, do anything to grow. You're not taking voice lessons, you're not, performing, you're not creating music, that kind of thing. Like you're gonna feel like an imposter if you say like I'm a singer or anything like that, right? But if you're actually taking action steps, if you are actually doing the things that a singer would do, you're doing vocal warm-ups, you are practicing, you're taking lessons, you are auditioning, you are performing in one way or another, you're singing in a choir, you're singing in a community theater group, you're doing something, right? Then yeah, you are a singer, you are that, whatever that name is that you want to define yourself by, but you have to make sure that you are taking action. And so challenge that lie by taking action. Oh, you're not doing enough to be considered professional. No, I'm doing this, this, and this every single day, or I'm doing this every single week. And that is enough for me in this season of my life. And I know that this is helping me grow. Okay, so that's how you challenge that lie, by taking action, taking real action as a performer. And then the third lie that imposter syndrome tells us is that you should wait until your gifts are perfect to share them. So this relates back to number one. They all are related. So this is different from, okay, you have to be perfect right away. This one is saying, okay, fine, you're not perfect. So just wait until you get perfect, and then you can share. Then you're going to feel so confident in yourself that you're not even going to worry about whether or not you're perfect, because you're going to be so good. So don't share your gifts. Don't even talk about your gifts. Don't do anything related to your gifts until you just wake up one day, you become perfect. Obviously, that's not going to work. Procrastination is the enemy of progress. It's only when you share what you do that you can actually receive feedback in order to grow in leaps and bounds. What I mean by that is that While it's good to practice, it's absolutely essential to practice privately on your own, which goes back to number one, right? If you feel like you're not perfect, okay, practice, start somewhere. And again, with number two as well, you're not doing enough, start doing, more of the right action for your craft to grow. However, this lie is different because it's saying that don't do anything. Don't do anything. You just have to keep waiting. One day you're going to feel ready to do this thing that you want to do, to share your gifts, to help and serve other people with your creative gifts, whether it's making music, whether it's writing songs, whether it's performing on stage. Just wait until you feel ready, until your gifts are better before you share them. The only thing is that even if you are sharing your gifts in small spaces, that is better than not sharing your gifts at all, because you're going to get feedback that's going to help you grow in leaps and bounds. I mean that by taking voice lessons, right? When you are working with someone who knows even a little bit more than you do about your voice, about singing, who can lead you and guide you in a certain path and direction, they're going to help you grow because they're a little bit ahead of you. So they can show you kind of what to do differently than what you're already doing in your own practice, in your own private time. If you're taking a dance class, right? It's great to dance on your own and to practice on your own. But when you go to a dance class, like, you're going to be around other dancers and you're going to see what they're doing. And you're going to be, of course, watching the dance teacher, and they're going to give you advice. They're going to help you and guide you too. They're going to choreograph things that you wouldn't have even thought of yourself, right? And so it's this amazing space where you're going to grow in leaps and bounds, because it's not just you helping yourself practice, but you have other people helping you practice. It's not just you taking action, but you have other people helping to give you feedback so that you can grow in your craft. And so it's just so essential that the way to combat this lie is to make sure that you are indeed sharing your gifts, even in small spaces. Go and take a dance class at your local art studio, performing arts studio, just a small group of dancers, right? Go and take an acting class, right? Go and take a voice lesson, right? Whatever it takes in a safe space, and make sure that you are sharing your gifts so that you can continue to grow and develop them, okay? So to go back to the definition of imposter syndrome by psychology today, right? When you are feeling like, okay, you're not competent or intelligent or good enough at your craft as you think other people think that you are, just know that you are taking action, right? You are taking small steps of action. You are doing, sharing your gifts in small ways, in small spaces, to continue to grow, right? And so it's all about, like, the answer to all these lies is really to take positive action in the direction that you want to go. And you will realize that, as you really reflect honestly about or over what you're doing, you're going to realize that those lies aren't really, like, they don't mean anything, right? They don't mean anything, because how can you ever think that, okay, I have to be perfect right away, if you know that you already know that you are a beginner and you're willing to continue to grow and you're taking small steps of action. So I hope this helps. I hope this encourages you in the middle of the week to remind you that, those lies of imposter syndrome, they don't get to stop you. Keep sharing your gifts. Keep putting it out there. Keep taking action steps, and I'm right here cheering you on. As always, if you need any support whatsoever, feel free to let me know. Come to the Performing Arts Community on Facebook group. Come to the Performing Arts Community on Facebook. That's where you're going to find me really easily. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can also DM me on Instagram. And if you know that you want to take action today, which you absolutely should, when it comes to singing specifically, I have 5 free tips that will help you take action literally immediately. You can start at least one of them today, to start singing and performing with confidence, so that you are not letting imposter syndrome stop you from starting to sing and grow as a singer, especially as an adult. I know that it can be really hard and there can be a lot of fear, but these 5 free tips will help you to get started. Okay, so you can go to the link in my show notes. You can also go to creativelybyestelle.com/tips in order to get those free 5 tips. All right, thank you so much for listening. I hope you take action today, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the performing arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.